All right, you made 2 points I want to address conference report. The first one, I know I open myself up to, and I'm happy to have done this, that by getting into this sort of my first principles and things that look like my faith and whatnot. The thing is, my faith is based empirically. So this is the difference in the religious thing. You say, it's just like saying that if God didn't exist, we'd have to invent him. With the one difference that there's no evidence for that God. And I didn't need to invent him. I did fine without God. Without God, I did fine. But all of you people, hold on. Hello? Yes? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, when? About one? Yeah, that'd be great. I'll bring her in. Okay. I love you too. Bye bye. So the difference is that religion um, is wrong when it says we'd have to invent God. But all you compatibilists have to deal with will. You really do need some description of this phenomenon, and you actually experience these choices, right? It's not me saying, I experience God, so you'll come around because you'll experience it too. And I'm making a guess that you'll experience things the way I do, but it's a wrong guess because there's people that don't need God. Okay. But I'm guessing that you have experiences of making decisions. That brings us to the next point, urges. I don't associate will that directly with urges. As a matter of fact, I forget if it was the video to you or one of the other ones last night, but I said this, the less you think the less strongly you feel in one direction, the more the power of choice, right? On the other hand, will is a complex thing. And as I said, there's an unconscious part of will. And the unconscious part of will is based on urges. Now, you can develop a taste for something. You can intellectually work on that or just physiologically develop tastes, you know. So you can change these things. But again, it's like they are like dominoes, those urges. But you can set the dominoes. You can work on how the dominoes are set up, either through evolution or I believe also somewhat consciously. You can work on how that's set up. But those urges, those are part of the will. Will is a complex thing, and one of it, one part, and it seems the part that flushes all the energy in the first place, are these urges. And then it seems like with the information processing, which let me call image processing sometime, but it's information processing, all the sensual medium, you know, it's like you can filter out that energy and take, with shadows, you can block out, you need all the light so that you can manipulate it. And in that case, yeah, it's the part that isn't the urge. Okay, so as I said, consciously, we're doing this commentary, this visualization, and that is the epitome of will. But when you just assume that will is stopping an urge or any little part, my system is never going to work if you continue to think of will traditionally as something associated with this part that thinks it's your whole body. It's not even your whole brain. The little part of your brain that goes, I'm Pyrrho. It's not even your whole brain. Certainly not your whole body, and yet it talks that way. I hurt my finger. This finger, that's me. It's part of me. It talks and thinks that way, right? But we have shown that that's not the case, that there's a lot to willing that is outside the scope of that thing. So if you try to explain it with just what's in that thing, no, it's not a complete picture. Okay, so willing is going to be partially the urge. It's going to be all the stuff that goes to the actions. But primarily when we're talking about will to the first order and we're talking about this conscious will, um, then I agree. The conscious will comes into to role to the role to in terms of how of managing urges, you know. And I agree, you can't go do something you have no urge for, but you can give a little weight. You can bring something above the threshold, or if they're near, you can add a little weight. And if this urge is way up here, adding a little weight won't help in the end. It might, it might change how you act on this other urge. But basically, the other urge is going to express itself. And that's why we try to become balanced personalities, so that our urges come up to like this. so that we can decide how to weight them. And if one urge is a little bit more and we don't see any reason to discount it, we let that be the determining factor. So yeah, this is the whole point. I would like to get a complex view of will, and I think it really can only be done by accepting that there is such a thing. But I'll go back to the first point, just that there might be similar structure in my statement about why we need will to live, but the difference is when you check up on my claims and how they relate to your experiences. Okay. If I was here a theist saying, you experience God, you know, oh, that day you felt really good and wonder with the universe, you know, that was you feeling God. But you have other interpretations. And so how compelling is that? It could be very compelling, it could be not compelling at all. I'm saying that you have experiences of choices, and it seems like it makes a difference which choice you make. You have that experience, it seems that way. That's pretty. Do I read your mind? How did I know that? Because it's that ubiquitous, because it looks like it's built in to the human structure. Okay, so the guess that I'm making might sound similar, but it's a lot stronger. I don't say it's absolutely true. I just say, look, there's some evidence for it, and that evidence is what makes it stronger. That's the difference. So, so yeah, I think it'd be a mistake to reject it on that. On the other hand, you can engage it this way, and you can ask me, what are my emotional attachments? And unlike most people, I will tell you. And this is what I am telling you. Yes, I have an emotional attachment. I also have an epistemological and natural philosophy based explanation of why I think this is the condition, why I start with the flow of principles as a first principle and define all my cognitive terms as relating to a stream of perceptions. You know, I and all of these, and why I say what we look at for what how things are behaving, not what they are. Why? Because stream of perception, I can talk about how it behaves. I can't necessarily talk about what it is. So, I mean, it's a fundamental difference. On the other hand, like I say, I have an emotional attachment. So you can approach that, but just don't forget while I'm allowing you to reveal that I have an emotional need for this belief. I do. I do. But it is a justified belief as well. And I like emotional beliefs. If I can find an emotional belief that's also analytically justified, that's a win. That's what I'm looking for. That is a successful philosophical idea for me. It has to be both of those things. So I don't reject it because there's an emotional need. I just make sure that that's not all that it is. And that's not all this is.